Like many stories of faith, the journey of CGBC Satellite Church began with a vision, one planted in prayer, nurtured in unity, and grown by the hands of God. Let us look back from the start of how it all began in the year 2011. Pastor Ralph Ibanez carried a burden from the Lord to start a church in Metro Manila that would serve CGBC members who had moved out from Mindoro to work or study in the city of Manila. It was a vision born not out of convenience but out of love for people and for God's calling. So together with the congregation, they began to pray for the start of the ministry, and in answer to the prayer, 3 young students from Baptist Bible Seminary Institute, Christopher Lazaro, Eagle Malvar, and John Ehe, were assigned to lead the worship services in Manila every Sunday. The first service was held in the residence of Brother Vino Oriente and Brother R.V. Malvar in Malate, Manila, in which Pastor Ralph Ibanez was our first speaker to preach and lead the worship service on November 13, 2011. By 2012, the church found a new place to gather and conduct its worship services at the home of Brother JJ's family in Makati. It was there that the Sunday worship became more consistent and eventually brought the beginning of the first children outreach ministry in the area of Makati, conducted every Sunday afternoon. In 2014, God blessed the church by adding more workers for the ministry. Pastor Ima Lumakad and Pastor Melvin de los Reyes, who were new Bible students at that time, came alongside to assist in the work of the ministry. In the next year, Pastor John Ehe became our full-time worker in the ministry, and in the same year came Pastor Clark Salvador, Sister Teresa Salvador, and Sister Zarin Lazaro, who helped a lot in supporting our full-time worker and our developing church at that time. As the years went by, various ministries in Makati continued to grow. Church members and workers worked together to strengthen the ministry, especially in teaching children and establishing more organized and meaningful Sunday worship services. In 2018, CGBC Satellite moved into a larger space in Camuning, Quezon City. With more room came more attendees in our Sunday worship services. And in 2019, after much prayer, Pastor Eleno Magtibay accepted the calling to lead the satellite church. Under his leadership, Sunday schools were enhanced and book clubs were established, each one helping people strengthen their relationship with God and with one another. But like all developing churches, the ministry was not always easy. A few months later, the church had to temporarily relocate its worship service to Chowking fast food restaurant in Camuning, while looking for a more permanent place to gather. Still, the church continued. Even without walls, God's work didn't stop. The outreach for children in the area of Camuning remained, even when the church had no building to call its own. Then God answered again. The Navigators Ministries opened its doors, and finally, we have found a stable place to conduct our worship, teachings, and gatherings. Here, the church resumed its Sunday school classes and launched a music ministry to make worship even more heartfelt and joyful. In addition to this, through the support of Brother Jaira and Brother JJ, sports ministry also began using basketball as a tool to connect with young people, build friendship, and share God's word through every game and conversations. But in 2020, everything changed. The world was hit by the global pandemic. Gatherings were suspended, and the worship service was moved to an online setup. Yet even in isolation, the church found ways to stay connected. Virtual Kamustahan sessions led by Pastor Eleno and Sister Eleli allowed members to check in with one another and became the source of a fellowship, encouraging one another and continuing and growing in faith, reminding everyone that distance could never stop God's presence. By 2023, the face-to-face worship resumed once again, this time at a temporary space at Dansalang Gardens in Mandaluyong City. And as time went on, more people returned and the space became limited. And soon, God brought us back to the place of the Navigators Ministries building where worship continued up to this day. From here, something beautiful happened. Baptisms were started, and one by one, hearts were surrendered to Christ. And slowly but surely, the Church of Vars grew little by little. Not only that, ministries continued with more passion. The music ministry, led by Brother Toti, Sister Rubri, and Brother JJ, gave members the chance to use and enhance their gifts and talents in music to glorify God. The sports ministry was reconstructed as the KKK ministry. With assistance and support from Brother Jaire, Brother JJ, and Brother Will, basketball leagues were built across Metro Manila and Cavite. And through every game, the gospel was shared, and young people who have attended were taught and discipled in every session. The Children's Sunday School, led by Sister Claude and new volunteer teachers, bloomed once again, teaching young hearts to love God, grow in faith, and enjoy being part of His family together as a church. But perhaps the most important work of all was the renewed commitment to share the gospel. Pastor Eleno taught and encouraged the church on how to evangelize, and it lit a fire in many hearts. Members began to share their faith with classmates, co-workers, family members, and even strangers, proving that evangelism isn't just a ministry, but a mission we all carry. And through it all, through the changes, the challenges, the growth, and the grace, God was very faithful. This church was never built by one person. It was never sustained by one plan. From the beginning, CGBC Satellite Church has been the story of unity, a community of believers who loved, served, and grew together for the glory of God. Because truly, it is the Lord who builds His church, and we are simply blessed in laboring together until Jesus comes. And with that, that concludes the history of the church.